So as we know, in order to make a career in SAP, especially logistics module like MM, EWM, and SD, there is no prerequisites. And most of you are already from procurement background or supply chain management background. So it will be an added advantage because you are already aware of business processes. So things will be quite easy for the people who are from supply chain management or procurement background. However, the people who are new to SAP or procurement, of course, no need to worry because there is no prerequisite. And moreover, we have designed our syllabus as per SAP certification and job market from very basics. So everyone can, easily understand and switch to SAP. And when it comes to a particular module, our today's session is all about SAP MM. All right, and MM stands for Materials Management. In SAP S/4HANA, it is also known as Sourcing and Procurement. And this particular module, as we know that we have a number of ERP softwares which are available in the market. And SAP is the leading ERP business software which is available. All right, and especially after launching SAP S/4HANA. So in SAP, for every department, there is a separate module. When it comes to MM, MM module is applicable for procurement module, where the complete procure-to-pay cycle is carried out. So that is brief about MM. Now I'm going to walk you through different sub-modules of SAP. Okay, so SAP MM module comprise of materials requirement planning, purchasing, inventory management, and invoice verification. So these are 4 sub-modules of MM. All right. So as you can see, it all starts from planning. Once from planning, the requirement is determined, then that requirement in the form of purchase requisition is submitted to the procurement department, and procurement department starts procure-to-pay cycle. For example, whatever the materials which are required, if we have suppliers for them, then the purchase orders are issued to those suppliers. In case if those are new materials to our organization, then procurement department starts exploring supplier market, identifying potential suppliers, and sharing requirements with the supplier in the form of a request for quotation. Interested suppliers, they reply with their quotations, and then those quotations are evaluated from technical and commercial point of view, and those suppliers are shortlisted and then finalized. And if it is for short-term, contracts are established, and even if it is for a long, if it is for long-term, contracts are established, and for short-term, even without contracts, the purchase orders can be issued directly. So as we can see how these sub-modules are interconnected with each other. So MM, we can say it starts with planning, then purchase requisition, then once identifying the suppliers, then the contracts are established. So there are 2 types of contracts. One is, in outline agreement, there are 2 types of contract. One is contract, one is scheduling agreement. All that we will be discussing. And from the contract, the purchase order, with reference to the contract, purchase order is created and issued to the supplier. Supplied as per the. So I will take you through the complete procure-to-pay cycle. Here, it is showing the main modules of MM, some modules of MM. So in SAP, we have to understand how the business functions are mapped with MM organizational units. Like in industries, we use the terms like department. In SAP, there is no term like department. Here we have organizational units. For example, like the complete enterprise or corporate group is represented as a client in SAP. So this left side, these are the industry terms which we use, and the right side shows the SAP terms. All right. So the whole enterprise or corporate group is considered as a client, and that enterprise or the big group may have a number of different businesses. And each business entity is considered as a company code in SAP. And for each businesses, let's say if it is a manufacturing unit, so in industries, we call it as a manufacturing facility. Or from trading industry point of view, let's say it's a distribution center. All right. So that manufacturing facility or distribution center is considered as a plant in SAP. Similarly, of course, in order to look after procurement requirement of the organization, there is a purchasing department in the company. And that purchasing department is considered as purchasing organization. And within the purchasing department, different buyers, those are nothing but purchasing group in SAP. So briefly, I'm explaining how we are going to, how the business functions are mapped in SAP. So in our training, all these we will be discussing one by one. So here in SAP MM, there is a main cycle, that is procure-to-pay cycle, which starts from determination of requirements. For example, if we take into consideration a manufacturing industry, in order to make any finished product, that manufacturing industry requires raw materials. So that is how much raw material, how much quantity is required, by what time that raw materials should be available. That is nothing but determination of requirements. So the requesting department, so in this case, the production department in the form of purchase requisition, they submit their requirement. And based on that requirement, if we don't have the suppliers to fulfill those requirements, then the purchasing department creates request for quotation for those materials. And that request for quotation is shared with different suppliers on different platforms. For example, like, there are so many B2B platforms like Alibaba.com, right? Then IndiaMart from India, Trade India, and so many others. And there are so many magazines which are available to get some suppliers information or exhibitions, right? So through these different platforms, procurement department identifies potential suppliers and share request for quotation with those suppliers. And that request for quotation for supplier becomes inquiry. And inquiry, and based on the inquiry, the interested suppliers, they provide quotation and quotation to the our organization. Let's say we are working for a particular manufacturing industry which requires material. And after receiving quotations from quotation suppliers, procurement department carries out techno-functional evaluation and shortlist the suppliers. After shortlisting the suppliers, the contracts are established, after negotiating the payment terms, Incoterms, the pricing with the suppliers. And based on that one, the purchase orders are issued to the supplier. And these purchase orders can be issued even without the contract, or after establishing a contract with reference to the, if we are issuing purchase order with reference to the contract, then it is termed as a release order, though both are same, but there is a slight change in terminology if we are issuing a purchase order with reference to the contract. So as you can see, after a determination of requirement, there is a source determination, so that in that, evaluating vendors, negotiating with the suppliers, and negotiating with them, and then finalizing the vendors. So that is the second step, source determination. After source determination, vendor selection, that is, and then that vendor selection is nothing but establishing a contract with them. Then the fourth step is PO processing. So the PO is issued with reference to the contract or without reference to the contract, that is PO processing. And that PO is issued to the supplier, and supplier will create its own internal document with reference to the purchase order, and that is called as sales order. And based on the delivery date of the purchase order, suppliers delivers goods. That is the goods receipt. And while doing the good receipt, of course, it is checked whether with the good receipt is with reference to which purchase order, or in case of scheduling agreement, with reference to which scheduling agreement the good receipt is being carried out. So once the good receipt is done, then of course a supplier, after delivering the goods, supplier will bill to us. Once the supplier issue an invoice, commercial invoice, here the invoice verification is carried out. For example, let's say in our purchase order, we ordered for 100 pieces. However, we received only 90 pieces. It means we are liable to pay only for 90 pieces, not 100 pieces, not for 100 pieces. Let's assume by mistake the supplier has invoiced us for 100 pieces, but we cannot pay for 100 pieces because we received only 90 pieces. So to check that one, so there is a step that is called as invoice verification, where we check the invoice with reference to the good receipt and purchase order, and that is called as three-way invoice verification. Once verification is done, so we can say in MM, from purchase requisition till invoice verification, all these steps are carried out in MM. Once in MM, invoice verification is carried out, then accounts payable will pay to the supplier. So this is brief about the procure-to-pay cycle. Any question related to procure-to-pay cycle? I believe my voice is clear.
Yeah, it's very clear, Shams. This is helpful.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So in MM, I think briefly we discussed the business processes as well. So it starts with, for example, let's say if we are working for, so this shows the process flow, how different departments, and then from SAP point of view, different modules are integrated with each other. All right, so integration is also part important aspect of this training that we will be discussing. Okay, so in procure-to-pay cycle, these steps we have already discussed. So so there are two types of procurement in MM. One is basic procurement, and another one is special procurement that we will be discussing in detail. And there are different purchasing documents like purchase requisition, request for quotation, right? Quotation is provided by supplier. This is not a purchasing document. Purchase requisition, request for quotation, the purchase order, contract, scheduling agreement. So how these documents are designed in SAP to make business processes more efficient and automated, that we will be discussing. And in these purchasing processes and documents, there are some other objects like item categories and account assignment categories that we will be discussing in detail. So in inventory management, as we can see here, once we issue the purchase order to the supplier, based on the delivery date, supplier will deliver to us. And once we do the good receipt, of course, material document and accounting document is created. Material document is created to record the quantity, and accounting document is created to record the value of the the stock which we are receiving. So in inventory management, we will also discuss about stock transfer. In stock transfer, transferring stock from plant to plant, storage location to storage location, or transferring stock like from one stock type to another stock type. And as we can see, the effects of good receipt posting. So whenever we do the good receipt or good issue in SAP, material document is created, accounting documents is created to record the quantity and value of the stock. So then in invoice verification, as we can see, the invoice is verified with reference to the purchase order and the material document. And then, of course, a vendor invoice is also taken into consideration. So that is the reason why it is called as three-way match. And as a result of invoice verification, invoice document and accounting documents are created. So here there is a two-way match and three-way match in invoice verification. If we are taking into consideration only our purchase order and invoice of our supplier, then it is a two-way match. If we take into consideration our purchase order, our good receipt, and the supplier invoice, then it is considered as three-way match. So in SAP, we have different types of data, like master data. So in MM, we have material master, then vendor master. So in ECC, it is considered as a vendor master. However, in SAP S/4HANA, it is termed as a business partner. So any entity with which our organization carries out business, is that entity is considered as a business partner. For example, like with vendors, we carry out purchasing transactions with our vendors. So we can see a business transaction is carried out with an entity. So that entity is considered as a business partner. Similarly, our sales team sell to different customers. So here we can say it's a sales transaction is carried out. So customer is also considered as a business partner. Similarly, a bank, tax authorities, and other with which our finance department interacts and carries out the transactions, those are also considered as business partner here in SAP S/4HANA. Besides this, there are some other master data in MM, like purchase info record, source list. Okay, so this is a brief about master data. Besides this one, of course, when we are using any software, the expectation of the company is that the system should automatically determine the pricing whenever the purchasing price, a different pricing component, like gross price, discount, taxes, other applicable charges and all. So that we will be discussing in pricing procedure functionality in MM. Then we have the release strategy. So as we know, for purchasing documents, there is an approval. So in SAP, that is termed, for that, we have a functionality called the release strategy. And recently in SAP S/4HANA, there is a flexible workflow functionalities also used for approval purpose. And then, for the required document, there should be a message determination, meaning how we are exchanging business documents with our business partners, like from MM point of view, vendors, that we will be discussing in message determination or output determination. And in this training, of course, we will see how MM module is integrated with different modules. For example, how MM is integrated with PP, EWM, FICO, SD, and PM, and other modules. So that is also part of this training. So, so in this one, it shows, so in previous slide, and in this slide, you can see the integration of MM with PP, EWM, and FICO. In this slide, we can see integration of MM with TM, SD, and FICO. All right, so that is a brief about the sub-modules, and we will be accessing SAP S/4HANA 2021 server through remote desktop. All right, so we will be using this server for our practice. And for the participants, we will be providing our own customized study materials to our participants. You will also receive SAP press books from us. All right. And I think Mr. Ismail might have shared with you the syllabus. Again, I'm going to share the updated syllabus. We designed syllabus as per SAP certification and job market. All right. And in this, yeah, we provide SAP press books. So training on SAP S/4HANA 2021 server, and you will also get access for 3 months of access to 2021, 2020, and ECC server for a duration of 3 months. So that is brief about SAP MM, right? So any question?
No, we did have questions on the syllabus. I'm sorry I didn't forward that earlier, but yeah, thank you for bringing this up. And you said like the access will be like, is it the same user ID or is it multiple user IDs? Like,
No,
how is
of
that?
course, a separate user ID for individual user.
Okay, okay. And there's a
However,
separate...
however, we will be accessing the same server from different IDs.
Different IDs. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, and then that's usually available for the like, is it available or accessible even after course
Yes,
completion, or?
because 3 months server access is included in the fee. And after 3 months, if you'd like to continue, then we will connect you with the service provider.
Okay. Okay. Got it. And then so that's one thing. And then you said you will support with like interviews and then
Yes,
certification, right?
yes, yes, yes. So we provide pre-job support and post-job support to our candidates. Pre-job support, like resume preparation, interview preparation, preparing their LinkedIn profile, job portals, and all, and we help them till they make career in SAP. Because
Okay.
proper guidance is also required besides training in order to make a successful career in SAP.
Okay, okay. And then post.
And yes, even after the placement, if they would like to take our on-job support services, that is also available.
Okay, okay. Got it. Okay, so we talked about the syllabus, we talked about the server access, we talked about preparing candidate before and after. I think that covers the major ones. I wanted to see if the team on the call has any questions.
Hi, Shams.
Yeah.
Just a quick question, right? Like everything is self-explanatory and mashallah, the slides were well prepared. How long does a typical average user would take to understand the SAP software, like integration wise?
So yeah, it's quite easy. SAP is all about connecting dots. If we know what is the purpose of the dot and how this dot is connected with other dots, then the things is easy. So it's all about logic. This is what we need to understand from functional, module point of view, because there is no coding, there is no programming here. We just need to understand the business processes and in order to make those business processes, what are the SAP functionalities which are available. So those we need to understand, and this is more into logical. It's logical things.
So how many hours would it take us to complete this training?
Because we have different levels of training, like level 1, then level 2, and the project. So it's all depends what level of training you would like to take. Level 1 is sufficient for the people who would like to start their career as a associate consultant or fresher consultant. And if somebody has more than 2 or 3 or 5 years of domain experience and they would like to start their career as an experienced consultant, then they should go with level 1, then level 2, and the project. So in level 2 and the project, they get exposure to projects and the 2 years exposure they get.
So for example, like I am an end user, but I have never used SAP as a consultant. So can I access to the level 2, level
Yes,
3?
yes.
And what are the difficulties for me to understand and bypassing the level 1? As
No,
in,
because level 1 is applicable for all.